Access to Work is a grant that supports people with health conditions or disabilities. It provides individual practical support and advice to help to overcome barriers at work. It helps people with all types of disabilities, including mental health conditions. Access to Work grants may help with additional costs beyond, as has now been discussed, reasonable adjustments. Employers may be asked to contribute towards the cost of one-off support. And I'll just expand upon that a little bit. And as I say, it's a reimbursement grant that supports people with a health condition or disability to get into work and also retain work. So this is kind of coming from a slightly different angle than obviously we're talking towards employers here, but this is for individuals out there who would be coming to you as people looking for work, as people maybe already in your organisation and having difficulty retaining that work. And there is a fund of money, there is a grant fund of money out there called Access to Work to definitely advertise and make sure your employees and everybody you know about it. If someone is disabled or have a physical or mental health condition, these barriers can make it harder for people to access work and retain work. And one of the first steps for someone is to talk to their employer about changes that they must make in the workplace support with their health condition, which is known as reasonable adjustments. So the employer must make certain changes as part of the legislation, equality laws, and known as reasonable adjustments to make sure that a person is not substantially disadvantaged when doing their job. And reasonable adjustments could include changes such as reviewing their working hours, adjustment to their roles, making physical changes to the workplace, like installing a ramp for a wheelchair user or an audio-visual fire alarm for somebody who's deaf. It could be letting a disabled person work somewhere else, such as on the ground floor for wheelchair access. Reasonable adjustments can be a very small thing, but it would make a big difference to that person when it came to certainly retention, or even bringing on the talent that's out there that might need a little bit of adjustment to give them access to your employment. So Access to Work comes in with additional costs. So it could be providing individual practical support and advice to help overcome the barriers for both the customer and the employer. So I'll come on to what could Access to Work pay for. And as I say, this is beyond the reasonable adjustments that we hope that an employer would put in place. So that would be specialist equipment or adaptations, a support worker or job coach to help in the workplace. It could be a disability awareness training for colleagues. That can be done, and it has been done. A communication support at a job interview or in the workplace. It could be the cost of moving equipment following a change in location or job. It could be travel support to work for those who cannot use public transport, which may include taxis. And an Access to Work mental health support service for people who are absent from work or experiencing difficulties with their well-being due to mental health. So eligibility, who can get help? To be eligible for Access to Work, people applying must have a disability or health condition that affects their ability to work. It means that they have to pay work-related costs, so specialist equipment or travel costs. They've got to be over 16. And they've got to be about to start paid work in England, Scotland or Wales. And for the work part of the eligibility, one of the following must apply. They must have a paid job or be self-employed, have a job interview for paid work. There is some extra things I'll talk to you about, and about to start a job or work trial or starting work experience. To be eligible for Access to Work, people can apply who have got a disability, and as I've said. Interesting around the sort of interview, if you have applicants who are coming to you who need, for instance, a British Sign Language interpreter, then that could be funded through Access to Work. Okay, so obviously there is an application process to this, and you can do that through the gov.uk website. And once the customer has applied to an Access to Work, advisor will contact them to discuss what help they could get. As I said earlier, there's a team that does that. An advisor may also contact their employers to discuss how Access to Work can help support them. They will not contact their employer until they've agreed this with them first. So again, the employee can get in touch with Access to Work and have a chat with them, but nothing goes into place until everybody's agreed. A specialist assessor may contact you and the employer to assess your needs and discuss appropriate support and provide a detailed report to determine the best support. And you may get an offer of support, which could include a grant. If it does, you'll be told how much you'll get and for how long. And grants are awarded depending on the needs of the individual for a maximum of 3 years and are reviewed annually. There may be an element of cost share depending on the size of the company. This is a recent development. I thought it was interesting to sort of have this slide in there. And this is a what's been called a blended support offer. Many employers are asking employees to adapt their working arrangements and environments to support disabled people to access these new working arrangements and enable them to retain, return to and move into employment. Access to Work is introducing a new flexible package of support. And the new flexible blended support offer brings together a package of home working support, which can be blended with workplace support and new COVID-19 support to support disabled people. So I know COVID-19 is still ongoing. This is still here. So the blended support offer is 3 strands of dual site working, COVID support, including PPE and social distancing support, and home working support offer. So this was something we were still given as an option for access to work, and can help with if people have a health issue and they're being asked to work on a different site or they're being asked to work from home, then Access to Work could look at some additional support for them if everything else has been done up to reasonable standards by the employer. Certainly have a look at Access to Work on the gov.uk website. Everything is there if you need be. If you have additional questions, then get in touch with your job centre or even through StudTech Plus, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.